Commander O stood at the observation window of the 442B mining colony and looked out at the vast orange sky. The twin suns were setting, painting the landscape in shades of red and gold. Below him, the mining facilities hummed with activity. Workers moved between the metal structures, collecting the rare minerals that had made this colony valuable to the galaxy. For 30 years, the colony had existed in peace under the protection of the collective. They were a powerful race that ruled this sector of space with an iron hand. They had brought order, they said. They had brought safety, they claimed. But O knew the truth. They kept humanity small, weak, and useful. He was 52 years old now, with gray beginning to show at his temples. He had been born on Earth but had spent most of his life here on. He remembered when Earth still had real power, real military strength. Those days were gone now. They had made sure of that. 30 years ago, they had demanded that Earth give up its weapons and military. Earth had no choice. One colony could not stand against the entire fleet. The door to his office opened and Dr. One entered. She was a thin woman in her late 40s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had spent years studying the life forms of this planet, learning their behavior, their patterns. She was brilliant and careful, and O trusted her completely. "We have a problem," one said without wasting time on greetings. O turned from the window. "Tell me." "A mining ship was attacked 3 days ago. It was found near the border, damaged and half destroyed. The collective is blaming the Empire for the attack. They say it was an act of war." O's stomach tightened. He had read the reports that came through the communication network, but he had not wanted to believe they meant anything serious. The Enda had been rivals for decades, but they had never truly fought. It had been a cold war, nothing more. "What do they want from us?" he asked. "Everything," one said quietly. "They want our advanced defense technology. They want our data on ship design and weapons systems. They want us to give them everything humanity has developed in secret." O sat down slowly. "And if we refuse?" One did not answer at first. She did not need to. They both knew what would happen. Over the next few days, the situation got worse. They sent ships to orbit around. At first, there were only a few. Then more came. Within a week, the colony was surrounded. The commander sent a message to O: "Give us the technology or your people will starve. Your supply ships will not arrive. Your families will go hungry." O called a meeting with all the colony leaders. The mining managers, the scientists, the engineers, the doctors, everyone who had any power gathered in the main conference room. They demanded their answer within 48 hours. "We cannot give them this," O said firmly. "If we do, it will make Earth vulnerable. It will make every human colony vulnerable. We cannot betray our people." "But if we refuse, we starve," said one of the mining managers. "What good is loyalty if all our families die?" "We will not starve," one said. She stood up and her voice was strong. "There is another way, a way our ancestors prepared for. There is an emergency beacon, a distress signal that goes across the entire galaxy. It is old, older than anything the knows about. Our ancestors set it up, and they made us promise to only use it if we were facing total destruction." Everyone in the room fell silent. "But who would answer?" asked the doctor. "Earth has no military. We are alone out here." "I don't know," one admitted. "But our ancestors believed that someone would answer. They had faith in that. And right now, faith is all we have left." O looked at the faces of his people. He saw fear there, yes, but he also saw something else. He saw the same strength that had brought humans to this world. The same survival instinct that had allowed humans to live on where almost everything wanted to kill them. These people were Koreans, descendants of a warrior people. They did not give up. "Activate the beacon," he said. One nodded. She left the room immediately, heading down to the communications center in the deepest part of the colony. 2 hours later, she sent the message. "This is 442B mining colony. We are humans from Earth. We are blockaded by the collective. We are dying. We need help. If anyone receives this message, we ask for help. Send help. This is our distress call. The message was encoded and sent out across the galaxy on the old human emergency frequency, a frequency that had not been used in 50 years, a frequency that was so old that most of the galaxy did not even know it existed. O and One sat together in the communications room and waited. Around them, the crew worked at their stations, trying to look busy, trying not to think about what would happen next. Outside the colony, the ships waited. They had no idea that the humans had just activated their secret emergency system. The commander was patient. He believed the humans would eventually surrender. He had never faced a species that would choose anything but survival. They had made a terrible mistake. They had thought that humans were weak because they had small numbers and old weapons. They had thought that humans were easy to control because they had been told to be quiet and obedient for 30 years. They did not understand what humans really were. They did not understand that humans came from a planet where everything was harsh and dangerous, a planet that had forced humans to be strong, to be clever, to never give up. The signal traveled through space at the speed of light. It went past empty planets and broken asteroids. It went past the ships of alien traders and the monitoring stations of the collective. No one on the side noticed it. It was too old, too quiet, too human. But somewhere in the darkness of space, an ancient receiver picked up that signal. And somewhere, in places the thought were empty, a sleeping giant began to wake. Captain Minjun was drinking coffee when the alarm sounded. The coffee was cold and tasted like metal, but he drank it anyway. He was used to things that tasted bad. He was used to things that hurt. He was used to waiting. That was what he had done for the last 15 years, waited. Minjun was 48 years old, and he had spent most of his life preparing for a moment that might never come. He was the captain of the most advanced warship humanity possessed. But humanity was not supposed to have warships anymore. According to the collective and the rest of the galaxy, Earth had given up all military power 30 years ago. The truth was different. Earth had not given up its military. Earth had hidden it. In the shadows of forgotten space stations and in the clouds of dead planets, humanity had kept its soldiers and its weapons. They had kept their technology secret, developing it slowly, carefully, always hidden from the eyes of the. Minjun's crew was the best that humanity had to offer. They were men and women who had been trained in secret, who had given up their families and normal lives to serve a purpose that might never be needed. They had believed in the mission because they believed in something their commanding officers had told them. If the beacon ever sounds, we answer. No exceptions. We go. We fight. We protect our own. The alarm continued to sound, and Minjun was on his feet before his coffee cup hit the floor. He ran to the communications center of the ship was docked at a space station that looked like a broken mining facility from the outside. On the inside, it was a fully armed military installation. The crew was already at their stations, their hands moving quickly over controls. "What do we have?" Minjun asked. A young communications officer named turned to him, his face pale. "Sir, we received a distress signal. It came from 442B mining colony. It is a human distress beacon, the old emergency code." Minjun felt something shift in his chest. The protocol that had been written into every human officer's DNA since childhood suddenly came alive. The beacon. The emergency code that was supposed to be used only when all hope was lost, when extinction was coming. "Verify it," he said. "Already done, sir. It is definitely human. It is definitely real. It is Commander O of 442B. He sent it personally." Minjun moved to the main display. There was Earth, far away on the edge of the screen. And there was, even farther away, in a completely different part of space. The distance between them was almost impossible. The journey would take weeks even at full speed. "Send a message out to all hidden units," Minjun ordered. Recall Code 1. I want every ship to prepare for launch immediately. Weapons hot, engines warm, full battle readiness. The officers looked at each other. This was the moment they had been training for but never truly believed would come. They had been soldiers with no war. Now, suddenly, the war was calling them. Within hours, the secret of Earth's military was exposed. From all across the galaxy, hidden ships began to move. A destroyer near the ice moons of Titan powered up its weapons. A fast attack ship hiding in an asteroid field sent out its launch sequence. A battle cruiser that had been disguised as a merchant vessel for 20 years revealed its true shape. The old equipment, the old technology, the old pride of humanity, it was all coming alive. Messages began flowing through encrypted channels. Every human captain, every human commander received the same orders. Move to Rendezvous Point Delta. Prepare for combat. We are answering the call. Captain Minjun stood on the bridge of the and watched as his ship undocked from the station. The engines, silent for years, roared to life. That was beautiful in a deadly way. She was designed to be fast and powerful, with weapons systems that could tear apart enemy ships twice her size. She had cost humanity years of secret development and billions of credits hidden in accounts that they did not know about. Minjun opened a channel directly to 442B. It would take time for his message to arrive, but he sent it anyway. This is Captain Minjun of the Earth Defense Fleet commanding the. We have received your distress beacon. We understand the situation. Hold on, do not give them anything. Do not surrender, we are coming, we are bringing everything we have. Hold on and we will save you. This is not just a rescue mission. This is a message to the entire galaxy. We are answering our own. We are showing them what it means to attack humanity. Prepare yourselves. Help is coming, and we are bringing the fury. He sent the message and then closed the channel. Around him, his crew was moving with purpose. They had trained for years for this moment. Some of them had never seen real combat. Some of them had been born in hiding. But they all knew what they had to do. The jumped to heading toward 442B. Behind her, dozens of other human ships did the same. The fleet was small compared to the forces, but it was real, it was powerful, and it was angry. News of the hidden human military spread across the galaxy fast, but by the time the collective realized what was happening, it was too late to stop the human fleet. The ships had already left. The war had already begun. Deep in his quarters, Captain Minjun looked at a photo of Earth. The blue planet hung in space, beautiful and far away. He thought about his family there, about his sister and her children. He thought about all the people who were counting on him to do this right. He touched the photo and whispered a prayer in Korean, the language his grandmother had taught him. Then he turned to the main display. The stars stretched out before him, full of danger and possibility. The human fleet was coming. The sleeping giant had woken up, and the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to threaten the children of a. The commander did not take the human threat seriously at first. His name was, and he had been commanding fleets for 20 years. He had never lost a battle. His forces were superior. His ships were faster. His soldiers were better trained, or at least that was what he believed. When his sensors picked up the approaching human ships, he laughed. The human force was small, barely a dozen ships compared to his fleet of 35. The humans must be desperate and stupid to attempt such an attack. They would be destroyed in minutes. He sent a message to Captain Minjun. You will stand down immediately. Surrender your ships and your weapons. You have 1 hour to comply or we will destroy you. Minjun's response came back quickly. It was simple and direct. Stand down or be removed. Did not laugh this time. The human's confidence was surprising, but confidence meant nothing if you did not have the firepower to back it up. Ordered his fleet to attack. The space above 442B erupted into violence. The human ships came at the lines like animals that had been caged too long. They moved with a strange, unpredictable way that made them hard to target. The ships were built for power and dominance, slow but strong. The human ships were fast and clever. They took the lead, her weapons blazing. The first ship that tried to face her was cut apart. Her shields collapsed, her hull broke, and her crew died in the vacuum of space. It happened in less than 2 minutes. The commander could not believe what he was seeing. His ship was twice the size of the human vessel. How was this possible? But there was no time to think about it. There were more human ships coming, more attacks, more of his ships dying. The humans fought like no alien species had ever faced. They fought like they had nothing to lose. They fought like they did not care if they died as long as they killed enough enemies first. They coordinated their attacks with precision. While one ship attacked from the front, another came from the side. They used the planet itself as cover, flying through the atmosphere to escape pursuit, then coming back out to strike again. Captain Minjun stood on the bridge of the and watched the battle unfold. His voice was calm as he gave orders. Tactical team, focus fire on the carrier. Navigation, keep us in the asteroid field. Engineering, I need everything. Max power to weapons and shields. Medical, prepare for wounded. The crew responded with perfect timing. Every person on his ship knew their job. They had trained for this moment for years. Now that moment had arrived and they were ready. A human fighter pilot named Ho flew his small ship through a storm of laser fire. His shields were damaged, one of his engines was burning, but he did not retreat. He locked onto a target and fired. The ship exploded. Ho had no time to celebrate. Another target was already acquiring him. He dove his ship lower into the atmosphere, the G-forces crushing against him, and pulled up on the other side of a mountain range. The missile followed him, but it could not make the turn. It crashed into the mountain instead. On the ground at the mining colony, Commander O watched the battle from the observation room. He had ordered all non-essential personnel to take shelter in the deep bunkers. If they won this battle, they would be angry. They might attack the colony itself. But as he watched, something remarkable happened. The human ships were not losing. They were winning. They were falling back, their formation breaking apart. More ships were being destroyed. They was in the middle of the enemy fleet, tearing them apart one by one. Dr. One stood beside O, her hand over her mouth. Tears were running down her face. She had sent the beacon not truly believing that anyone would answer. She had thought it was a prayer, a last message to a universe that did not care. But humanity had answered. Humanity had come. The commander realized he was losing. This was not supposed to happen. How could a small human force defeat the mighty collective? But the facts were clear. 3/4 of his fleet was damaged or destroyed. His soldiers were dying. His ships were breaking apart. Made a decision. He ordered his remaining ships to retreat. The humans did not pursue them. Instead, the human ships formed a protective circle around the mining colony. The blockade was broken. The colony was saved. As the ships jumped to and disappeared, the humans began the work of damage control. They had taken hits, but she was still flying. Several human ships had been damaged. One small frigate had been destroyed with all hands. The humans were not unscathed. The victory had cost them. But it was a victory. Against odds that should have been impossible, humanity had won. Captain Minjun sent a message to Commander O. The blockade is clear. Supply ships can now reach you. Your distress call was answered. Your people are safe. We are standing watch over you. No one else will attack this colony. We will make sure of that. For the first time in weeks, Commander O allowed himself to breathe normally. He looked at Dr. One and saw her smile. It was a smile of relief, yes, but also something else. It was a smile of pride. Their ancestors had been right. When they were in true danger, when extinction was at the door, help would come. Humanity had not forgotten how to be warriors. As the sun set over the mining colony, the human ships stood in orbit above them, their lights gleaming in the darkness. They were like angels, like protectors. They had come from nowhere and changed everything. The collective had no idea what was coming next. They had learned one lesson. Humans were dangerous when threatened. But there was a much bigger lesson waiting for them. a lesson about what a species born on a was truly capable of. The collective was shocked and angry. The reports coming in from were confusing and contradictory, but the main message was clear. A human fleet had attacked his forces and forced him to retreat. This was unacceptable. The had ruled the galaxy for 200 years. No one retreated to humans. No one. The High Council of the met in their massive headquarters on their home world. Hundreds of leaders gathered, their chittering voices filling the great chamber. They talked of dishonor and shame. They talked of the need for revenge. They talked of teaching the humans a lesson they would never forget. The decision was made quickly. They would assemble their largest fleet. They would attack the human and every human colony they could find. They would wipe humanity from the galaxy, and they would do it so completely that other species would learn to never challenge the collective again. The orders went out across the galaxy. Every major base received commands to prepare for war. Every commander received orders to gather ships and soldiers. Within days, the largest armada ever assembled was being prepared. It would take a week to reach human space, a week that Captain Min Jun would need to prepare. When the intelligence reached Earth, there was a moment of silence. Then there was action. The hidden facilities that had been hidden for so long became public knowledge. They already knew about the human military now. There was no point in secrecy anymore. Earth prepared for war on a scale it had never faced before. Captain Min Jun received new orders from Earth Command. Do not retreat. Hold the line at, buy time for Earth to prepare its full defense. If you fall, the rest of the human race falls with you. Min Jun understood. He was not a general planning strategy from a safe distance. He was a soldier, and soldiers understood sacrifice. He gathered his captains and gave them their orders. We are going to hold this system. We are going to make the pay for every inch of space they try to take. And we are going to keep fighting until either they give up or we cannot fight anymore. The human fleet began to gather supplies and prepare defenses. They brought in more ships, armed merchant vessels that had been converted to warships. They took up positions around, using the planet's moons and asteroid fields as shields. They planted mines and sensor nets. They prepared for the battle that would determine the fate of humanity. When the armada appeared on the sensors, Min Jun gathered his crew. They are here, he said simply. And they are angry. This battle will be hard. People will die. But we fight for everyone back home. We fight for every human child and every human colony. We fight because we are human, and humans do not surrender. The battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. It was the largest naval engagement the sector had seen in 50 years. The fleet was enormous, with hundreds of ships and thousands of soldiers. But the humans fought with something they did not expect. They fought with the knowledge that this was their last stand, that if they fell, their species fell. Captain Min Jun moved through the halls of the, watching his crew work. Every station was filled with people doing the impossible. Engineers with only 2 hands were trying to repair 3 different systems. Medics were running between wounded crew members. Gunners were firing weapons until their hands bled from the heat of the controls. They sent boarding parties to capture human ships. They expected the soldiers on the human ships to surrender when surrounded. Instead, they found something they did not understand. Human soldiers who fought with the same desperation they did. Humans who would rather die than give up. Humans who moved faster and hit harder than any soldier had ever fought. In one corridor of a human soldier named Min faced down 6 warriors. She was wounded. One of her arms was badly burned, but she had a weapon and she had courage. She fought them hand to hand, using their own size against them. She moved like water, like something that could not predict. 2 of the warriors fell. Then another. By the time reinforcements arrived, Min was collapsed from blood loss, but the corridor was clear. The battle was not about big tactics or clever strategy. It was about will. It was about who wanted to survive more. It was about a species that had evolved on a world where the environment itself wanted to kill you, where predators were faster and stronger, where every day required you to be smart and strong and fast and brave. They were powerful, but they had never faced true desperation. They had never faced a species that would not surrender. As the battle continued, the ships began to fall. More and more of them were destroyed. The human ships were damaged and broken, but they kept fighting. Pilots like Ho flew on damaged engines, knowing they might not come back. Engineers worked to keep the weapons firing, knowing the next hit might kill them. Soldiers held positions until they collapsed, then their friends took their places. After 70 hours of continuous battle, they began to retreat again. But this time, they did not retreat in order. They ran. Their fleet broke apart. Ships tried to escape in different directions. The humans pursued them, destroying as many as they could. Captain Min-jun did not celebrate when the last ship jumped too. He looked at his crew and saw exhaustion and pain. He saw people who had given everything. 12 human ships had been destroyed. Hundreds of crew members were dead, but they had lost over 200 ships. They had lost thousands of soldiers. Min-jun sent a message to Earth Command. Is still secure. Armada defeated. Heavy casualties on both sides. Recommend immediate peace negotiations or prepare for additional attack. But the message that came back from Earth was different. The human government had a new message for the collective. Earth had assembled its full military. Earth was preparing to attack space directly. Earth was done hiding. Earth was done being small and weak. The message was simple: surrender now or face extinction. There is no third option. The collective surrendered without fighting a third major battle. When the High Council realized that a human fleet was being prepared to attack their home system directly, they chose survival over pride. They sent diplomatic envoys to the human fleet. They offered everything: technology, territory, resources, tribute. They would do anything to avoid the destruction that had come to their navy. Captain Min-jun received the surrender offer and immediately forwarded it to Earth Command. The decision on what to do next would not be his to make. He had done his part. He had held the line. Now the politicians would decide what came next. What came next was not destruction. It was negotiation. But it was a negotiation between equals, not between a ruler and a ruled. They were no longer the masters of this sector. They were survivors asking for mercy. The terms Earth offered were clear and fair. They would no longer control human colonies or human space. They would release all human workers from their service. They would share certain technologies with humanity, and they would accept humanity as equals in the galactic community. They accepted every term. Their age of dominance had ended. A new age had begun. Commander O received his new orders from Earth Command 6 weeks after the final battle. He was to become the ambassador to the collective. He would represent humanity in their negotiations. He would make sure that they honored the peace agreement. Dr. 1 received different orders. She was to lead a new initiative called the Human Cultural and Scientific Exchange Program. Her job was to bring human culture, science, and knowledge to all the liberated colonies, to show them what humanity could offer the galaxy beyond military power. But it was Captain Min-jun who delivered the most important message. The High Council of the requested a formal meeting with the human military leadership. They wanted to hear from the captain who had defeated them. Min-jun accepted the invitation. He walked into the great chamber of the High Council with only 2 guards. Around him, hundreds of leaders watched. They were nervous. They had been humbled in a way they had never been humbled before. The human had come to their home, and they were afraid of him. Min-jun stood in the center of the chamber. His voice was calm and strong as he spoke. "The age of the collective has ended," he said. "It did not end because humans are stronger than you in terms of individual power. It ended because you made a mistake. You thought that power came from size and numbers. You thought that domination could last forever. You thought that you could treat humanity as something less than what we are." He paused and looked at each leader in turn. "Humanity comes from a world that wants to kill us. Every day on Earth is a fight for survival. We evolved in a place where the environment is harsh, where predators are real, where death is always waiting. This made us different. It made us strong in ways that your species may not understand. When you threaten humanity, you do not threaten a soft, weak species. You threaten something ancient and primal. You threaten survivors. The chamber was completely silent now. "We do not want war with you," Minjun continued. "We do not want to destroy the collective, but you need to understand something that will protect both of us in the future. If you attack humanity again, if you try to enslave us again, if you blockade us again, we will respond with everything we have. And the result will be your total destruction. This is not a threat. It is a promise. It is a fact of nature." Minjun turned to walk out of the chamber, then he paused. "The next power in the galaxy that attacks humans will learn the same lesson. Tell them. Tell every species in the galaxy. Humanity is awake now. Humanity is here, and we answer our own when they call. Do not forget this." He walked out of the chamber, and the leaders let him go without a word. Over the following months, the human presence in the galaxy changed everything. Ships that had been hidden for decades were revealed. Military bases that had been secret for years were opened. Earth's government sent ambassadors to dozens of different species. Humanity was no longer hidden. Humanity was no longer weak. The news spread across the galaxy faster than the human fleet had traveled. A new power had emerged. Earth's children had awakened, and they were not going to be pushed around anymore. On 442b, the mining colony returned to normal operations, but it was different now. Human workers were no longer controlled by overseers. Human engineers no longer had to check their work with alien supervisors. The colony was free. Commander O stood with Dr. One at the observation window, looking out at the orange sky. The same view that had seemed so lonely months ago now felt full of hope. "We did it," one said quietly. "Our ancestors did it," O corrected her. "They believed that when the time came when we were truly in danger, help would answer. They were right." Back on Earth, Captain Minjun stood on the bridge of the as it approached the human. It had been years since he had seen Earth. The blue planet hung in space, more beautiful than he remembered. His communications officer handed him a message that had just arrived. It was from every human military commander in the galaxy, from every captain, from every soldier who had waited in hiding and then fought in the light. The message was simple. "Thank you for answering the call. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for showing the galaxy what humanity truly is." Minjun looked at the faces of his crew. They were tired. Many of them were wounded. Some of them were grieving lost friends. But they were also proud. They had done the impossible. They had faced an empire and won. The descended toward Earth, and as it did, every human who could looked up at the sky. They saw the ship coming home, carrying heroes who had answered a distress call and changed the fate of their species. The SOS summoned the Fury, and the Fury had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had returned to the stars as equals, and everyone else would have to get used to that fact. The age of humanity had just begun.